Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm very happy to say we are going to be taking a look at the VELOGAMES Spain, the last Grand Tour of the season and the last opportunity to really score some big points in the stage race championship, because the Renawai Benelux Tour is already underway. So let's go take a look at the VELOGAMES Spain riders. There's a lot to dissect into, especially in the GC categories. So speaking of which, the all-rounder category, you've got the big expensive four riders of Jonas, Roglic, Evenepoel and Ayuso. And to be honest with you, all of these guys are good picks. I would probably recommend that you try and get at least two of them onto your team. Whichever ones those are, I think is kind of up to you. I think you can provide reasoning for any one of these guys. You could pick the two Jumbo riders because they are going to get the TTT advantage. You could pick Evenepoel because he's got the strongest individual time trial, so he's pretty much, or not guaranteed, but pretty much guaranteed to win that individual time trial. Ayuso's a bit more of like the wildcard unknown factor, so it's a bit more of a gamble with him, I suppose. But I think that each one of these are good choices. I would say the only thing with Vingegaard is that it's a little bit borderline whether he's going to be worthwhile, because whether he's going to get like 2,800 points, like he's going to need to nearly get 3,000 points in a race which is very well known for having lots of breakaway victories rather than GC rider victories. I'm not saying Jonas isn't going to do good, I'm just saying that it could be better to redistribute points and try and be a little bit more like finessing your team a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. If you want a bit more of a deep dive on that, I'll be doing another video tomorrow, which I've done for other Grand Tours, where we do a bit more of a deep dive on stuff, so I'll talk about all that tomorrow. But all four of those guys on the face value are very good choices. Geraint Thomas, probably going to be like a top 5, good time trialist, and to be honest with you, I haven't really considered putting G on my team too much, just because these four at the top really dominate the limelight of this race. I think that G is still a very good choice, but do I see him getting 1,600 points? Maybe not. Maybe something more like 1,300, 1,400. Almeida, I think, is a good choice as well. Podium, the Giro d'Italia, 14 credits. I think that he's just a very solid option. I think that, you know, he might be on a similar level to G, I would say, in terms of favourite status. I think that Almeida's like really good, and I think that at 14 he is pretty decent value. You then get Arensman and Bernal. I'm not too sure what to make of either of these two. I would say Arensman's the better of the two because of his time trialling ability. Arensman could probably finish top 10 in GC as well by being a domestique. So I think that Arensman's decent. Is he going to get 1,000 points? I reckon he could do if he finishes high up enough in GC. Bernal is more of a sentimental pick, to be honest with you. Kelderman is really just there as like a glorified assist point getter, to be honest with you. I'd say that him and like Tratnik will get very similar amounts of points. Mollema and Soler are both guys going for breakaways, I would presume. Soler got a lot of points last year, it's worth mentioning. Something like 1,200, and he cost the same amount. So Soler's always a bit of a dangerous rider to be putting onto your team. Then we get onto the climber category, where, I don't know, is this going to be a bit of a hot take or something controversial? I don't think that these guys who are like Jay Vine, Martinez, Vlasov and Mas, I don't think they're particularly great choices, to be honest with you. I think there's better value down in like the further down you go in the climber category, and you're probably going to want to use those, considering that the big four players in GC are in the all-rounder category. So I haven't really dabbled too much in the expensive climbers, just because I've been focusing all my attention on the other bigger GC players. But Mas and Vlasov are still good choices. They will still finish inside the top 10. Mas, of course, crashed during the tour. He didn't do Vuelta a Burgos, so he probably hasn't had optimal preparation going into this race. Unlike I can't remember what happened last. He left the tour a little bit early last year or something like that. But so Mas is always just a bit of an enigma, to be honest with you. I never know what to expect from him. He was 12 credits last year, now he's 16, so that's certainly something to weigh into consideration. Vlasov is a bit maybe not, to be honest with you. I'm never really sure how to expect he's going to go over 3 weeks, especially when we've got Uijtenbrooks here as well, who we'll get onto in a little bit. Martinez, I think, is expensive at 12. However much I would like to pick him, I don't think he's going to be exceeding 1,000 points on his Grand Tour debut. That's just my opinion on that. I know there are a lot of Lenny Martinez stands out there who will be kind of shouting at the screen saying that I'm wrong. Jay Vine, I think, is just going to be a domestique, in all honesty. I don't think he's going to be the Jay Vine of kind of Alpecin or last year, where he's kind of let loose. I think it's going to be a bit more cagey this time. 10 credit riders, I really like Uijtenbrooks. I'm just going to skip straight to him. I think that Uijtenbrooks is my favourite 10 credit rider, perhaps even in the whole game for the Vuelta, for the VELOGAMES Spain. I just think that Uijtenbrooks, think back to Ayuso last year. Ayuso was 10 credits last year, came in as the unknown young gun, and he exceeded expectations and finished third and was probably one of the better value for money riders in the whole race. And I see something similar happening with Uijtenbrooks. I don't think he's going to finish on the podium, but I do think he could finish top 6 in GC, be a bit of a surprise package in the mountain stages. I don't know, I just have a bit of hype around Uijtenbrooks for this race. Bardet, Carthy, Caruso, Higuita, of course, Landa, like, they're all just a bit meh. Bardet, I'd say, was a bit better, to be honest with you. It's a bit of disrespect towards Bardet. I think that Bardet's an okay choice, but there's also a couple of other climbers in their team, like Max Poole and Oscar Onley, so I'm not sure how they're kind of divvying it up. Dunbar's probably the safest of them all, alongside Uijtenbrooks, to be a pure GC threat, so I think that Dunbar's also a good one to be picking. 8 credit riders, I'm going to start picking the ones which I like a bit more. Kemna is going for the Vuelta stage win, because that completes his stage win in every single Grand Tour, so fingers crossed that happens, but didn't look that great at Burgos, so a little bit of a question mark over him there. Poole was super good during the Dauphiné. I think he was 5th on that Quad Affair stage, finished 13th in GC. Up Tyon 2000, I think he was in the Tour of Romandy. He finished top 5 in that stage as well, so he's super talented, but again, I'm just not sure. Grand Tour debutant, not sure what to expect from him. Could be a little bit risky, but you know, if you're looking for something a little bit of a differential, Poole could definitely be that guy. Rubio, I like, you know, he was looking good during Burgos. If Mas isn't firing, I think that Rubio could be very dangerous in the breakaways. We saw him win a stage at the Giro d'Italia earlier this year. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened again. Buitrago is, without a doubt, I've seen a lot of people saying this on Twitter, he is like the guy who you need to have on your team, more than like Vingegaard or any of the other big contenders. Buitrago at 6 is great value, like hyper good value for money, that you need to be picking Buitrago, because he got 800 points in the Giro and he cost 8, and he's costing 6 this time around. Bear in mind, last time he cost 6 credits was in the Giro last year, where he just demolished the standings. So Buitrago, big fan of that. Elisond as well, climbing pretty well, one of the only climbers for Lidl Trek, so a good one there. Jesus Herrada always goes well in the Vuelta, wouldn't surprise, you know, he got a stage win last year, wouldn't surprise me if it happened again. Wout Poels won a stage at the Tour, so another breakaway option there. And I'm a big fan of Michael Storer, won the Tour de l'Ain, looked pretty good at the Tour de Limousin, where he was, I think, working for Romain Gregoire, his teammate, who eventually won that race. And Storer, I think back 2021, won 2 stages, mountains classification. He's one of the more experienced climbers on Groupama FDJ. I think that he could be a really good choice at 6 credits. He's on my team right now. And the reason why I've actually left this preview a little bit, maybe just waiting a little bit, is because we've had the announcement of Coquard and Groves as late additions to the sprinter category. Previously it was Milano who was the best. Now we've got Coquard and Groves in here. Don't get me wrong, these guys, these top 3 guys, are the best sprinters in the race. I'd say that Dainese is another one in there, but you know, Coquard and Groves, they're really good, but do I think they are worth it at 12? I don't think they are, when you consider there's like going to be like 5 sprints in this race. It's not guaranteed that either of them win all of those, and so I'm not sure that either one of them are like the best value. But if you wanted like a pure nailed on sprinter, I would say that both of them are pretty good. I can't really split them. I think you just have to make that decision by yourself. Milano is fast and was the favourite, but now these 2 have come in, so Milano's a little bit more in question. I really like Tayson's like okay, like he'll get top 10s, but I don't think he'll win. Dainese I really like, because he has won Grand Tour stages, he has got through multiple Grand Tours, and therefore I think that I just think that he could finish, you know, top 5 times, and that would probably get him his 800 point kind of quota to reach my really good standard that I set for riders. So I think the Dainese is really good. Cortina, Hofstetter, Milan, all a bit kind of like meh, like they're not that fast, to be honest with you. They're all a bit of a muchness. You could pick any one of them. Vandenberg's a little bit more of a climby option. Did good in Poland, but bear in mind those results were a little bit skewed. One of them was an uphill sprint, and one of them was just because of ridiculously good positioning. His lead out is weak, and therefore he will be left pretty isolated in sprints. And then the 6 credit guys, you've got Rob Geese, probably one of the faster guys, and will be Alpecin sprinter. Edward Turns is going to be the sprinter for lead or trek. Engelhardt, a bit more of a versatile guy, will probably finish in the top 10 most times. And then Dalam is a little bit more of a guy for the breakaways. And then to the unclassified rider, because I realise this video is already like 10 minutes long or something. 8 credit riders, I think they're all decent enough, to be honest with you. I'd say that Gregoire, a lot of hype around him for a lot of the Puncheurs stages. Grand Tour debutant. Do I think he's going to hit 800 points though? Probably not. I know that he is extraordinarily good, but on the longer climbs he does struggle, and most of the finishes in this race are longer climbs, not the short puncher ones that he is very good at. So bear that in mind. Ganna might get involved in some sprints, will do good in the TTT and the individual time trial as well. So Ganna's not bad. He's usually cost 10, so now he's 8, so that's a little bit more affordable, I guess. Volta's just a domestique. Vauquelin, I'm not willing to put 8 onto a rider who isn't like an extraordinary talent. Well, no, that's a little bit lame. I shouldn't say that. He is an extraordinary talent, but I just don't think the climbs suit him massively, and he hasn't shown the form recently that I would like to be picking him. I think that's more of a reasonable explanation. 6 credit riders, you've got Battistella, who did good last year, who I was going to pick, but I'm still salty about. Bouchard usually gets in lots of breakaways. Bear in mind that a lot of the stages here are uphill stages, like I just said, so picking guys who are good in uphill finishes is a better choice than picking guys who are rouleurs, like a Lascano, for example. I know you guys will be wanting me to say him. Castroviejo, good for breakaways, probably. I think Ineos will send guys into the break because G's not a big favourite on GC, you know, not like a podium kind of winning kind of threat, so I reckon they might get guys into the break like a Castroviejo. So I'm a big fan of Castroviejo. What has gone on here? Why has this happened? Please. Anyway, back to the preview. So yeah, I like Castroviejo. Cataneo will do good in the TT, but not much else. Deplus, I'm a big fan of. Think back to the Giro, 10th in GC. Deplus got 600 points in the Giro without really doing too much. He's a decent time trialist. The TTT, team classification points, I reckon he might even get let off into a breakaway, like I said, because I don't think Ineos are going to keep their guys in the peloton all the time. You know, we saw that in the Tour. Even, you know, Kwiatkowski won a stage. And I just think Ineos are really good at sending riders into the break now, not just keeping them around the leader all the time. So Deplus I'm a big fan of. Dens is actually a pretty decent climber, won 2 stages at the Giro. Fraile, again, kind of ditto for what I said for Castroviejo. Cobacosens, it's not February, so therefore he probably won't do that great. James Knox, good climber for Soudal Quickstep, probably just working for Evenepoel though. Lascano, like I said, Lascano, honestly, I think he could win a stage. But is he going to be the best 6-point rider? Probably not, no. Because he isn't good enough to get up the kind of mountain breakaways, which there are mostly of. You know, there's only a few ones which are suited towards him as a rouleur. That's just my kind of honest take on it. Millard's pretty good in the Vuelta as well. Only, I'm a big fan of too. I've seen a lot of hype around him. He's quite good on the short climbs. He does suffer a little bit on the longer climbs. It's worth noting. Like, think back to all the races which he's done and go look at the length of the climbs. They're not that long. So I think that Onley is a bit more of a puncher, personally, but I do think that he still will do quite well. Pedersen might get involved in the sprints for Soudal Quickstep and gets assist points on Evenepoel. Sean Quinn ain't bad, to be honest with you. He'll probably get into a couple of good breakaways. Christian Rodriguez, one of the better climbers that Arkea have. I really like him. Think back to Mont Ventoux Challenge, he was good there. Sobrero's a little bit of a maverick as well. Sometimes does really well, sometimes does really bad. Tranic and Van Baal for the assist points. I reckon we calculated, me and a couple of friends of mine who I'm in a group chat with, calculated that through assist points alone they'll get about 400-ish. So if you want to save 400 points, go with Tranic or Van Baal. Just because if you don't want to risk anything. Van Aertveld's a very talented, probably one of the better, if not the best climber Lotto Destiny have, but it is his Grand Tour debut. But you know what, at 22, I reckon that, you know, this could be a really big breakout performance for him. Watson will be the sprinter for Groupama. Zana won a stage and 16th for GC at the Giro, so he could very well repeat that. And then the 4 credit riders, I'm sure you guys are wanting some of these, but I can tell you, there are some good ones. So rest assured, I can help you out with that. So firstly, we've got Govakar. Bahrain say that he is going to be their sprinter. So for the 5 or 6 or whatever sprint stages that there might be, Govakar is going to be a good guy to be having in your team. You also have Juanpe Lopez, who did very good in the Giro last year. So that's another one that you can be picking. Malaysia, the under-23 TT champ. Nelson Oliveira usually gets in a good number of breakaways and will do good in the TT. So I think that Oliveira is a real good one to be picking as well. Rui Oliveira might do some sprints. Possibly he's done it in the past, but he will be leading out Milano. One of my favourite ones is Jason Osborne, who you guys probably haven't even heard of. But if you look up his stats, he finished 2nd in the Tour of Austria, and he finished like 16th in San Sebastian. And if you look at the people around him at San Sebastian, it is a high quality field. And this is a guy who hasn't really done much in his career because he's come from rowing. He's also out of contract, and we know what kind of incentive that gives to riders who have, lots of riders have come to the Vuelta, cut out a contract, and they usually pull it out the bag. Another rider is Javier Romo, 7th in GC at Vuelta Burgos, best young rider at Vuelta Burgos as well. So that's a really good one to be picking as well. And then outside of them, maybe Callum Scottson or just anybody involved in assist points like Louis Vivarca could be a decent one as well. And that is pretty much the preview. This is the team which I have right now. I have 3 of the big riders in there because I think that we saw it in the Tour. The big riders get the big points, and then you need to try and pick and choose the best guys who are like 6 credits and 4 credits. I mean, I've gone with Dainese because I think that he is probably one of the better value for money sprinters, considering that he's probably like a top 3, maybe 4 sprinter in this race, but he is a little bit cheaper. So that's why I like him. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Of course, I will be doing a deep dive talk about all of this tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe and come back tomorrow to check out that video. It'll be like 30+ minutes for your VELOGAMES enjoyment, and then after that I will reveal my final team on Friday, which I will be taking into the VELOGAMES Spain. But let me know what you're thinking in the comments down below. Is there any riders in the unclassified or whatever that I haven't done justice to? I want to hear what you're thinking down in the comments down below, and all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Salut!